Today is June 19th, 2019. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Bill Woodward in Claremore, Oklahoma. Sir, where were you born?
Tulsa, Oklahoma, October the 19th, 1931.
Who was your father?
Didn't have one, just my mother,
What's your mother's name?
Wilma.
Wilma.
Wilma and my sister Bev and me. That was it.
Wilma Woodward.
All those years,
Okay. You go through school in Tulsa?
Holy Family. Graduated there.
What year did you graduate?
And I was in the Marines 48, 49, 50, and 51. I went in right after I graduated. Then when I got out of he's not there yet.
You went in the Marines in 1951?
No, in 48.
48?
And came back while I was on the 20th Infantry Battalion, which was a reserve unit, and went to school and graduated 1950 while I was still in the 20th Infantry Battalion.
Who was your favorite teacher?
Her name was Sister Leo.
Sister Leo.
The principal.
At what school?
Holy Family.
Holy Family. And you graduated from what high school?
Holy Family.
Holy Family. Okay. Why'd you join the Marines over the Army or the Navy or the Air Force?
First to fight for right and freedom and to keep our honor clean. We were proud to claim the title of U.S. Marine.
Yeah.
And I had an uncle that was captain of Oklahoma A&M's team, went in the Marines after he'd had pro feelers. He was 6'3", 235, Jerry Bales, my mother's brother, and he was wounded on Iwo Jima, so he came back and didn't get to play football, but he made a doctor, and he made more money then probably than he would have as a pro player.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a gentle giant, and I'll never will forget one day we were sitting, the guy had no idea who I was, and we were just talking about different footballs. He said, "You know the toughest player I ever saw?" I said, "No." His name was Jerry Bales. I said, "That's my uncle." He said, "Lo and behold." He said, "I had no idea." Anyway, then my other uncle, Clyde, was on the USS Oklahoma when Pearl Harbor was bombed, and then stayed in the Navy, got out.
What was his name?
Clyde.
What was his last name?
Woodward.
Clyde
That's where
Woodward.
we took the name Woodward.
Yep.
And he's well, like I say, he lived in Long Beach where he passed away, and he gambled a lot, always won, and we'd go visit him back and forth. So anyway, I joined the Marines because, like I said, I thought they were the outfit to join.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something for the country.
Where'd you go for boot camp?
At San Diego.
San Diego. How'd you travel to San Diego?
Oh, well, I didn't know anything about the other one. It's Camp Lejeune. It's tough. Boot camp's tough.
Did you travel? How'd you get to San Diego? By train or?
Train.
Train?
How
long did the trip take?
It was, let's see, I'm thinking how many hours that took. It was several hours. There's a long story about that, but I won't get into that with another guy. And I knew my left from my right because I believed in the fighting for the country, the service, so they made me a squad leader. I was squad leader of the 4th Squad, platoon 15 in that year.
48?
You see, that could have been, did I come back from the brig camp? I believe I did. Yeah, I believe I did, 48.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you recall the date that you joined the Marines in 48?
Do what, say?
Do you recall the date that you joined the Marines?
No, not really. There was 4 of us. I can think of their names. Buddies went to join the Merchant Marine.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't take us because we were 16, but we got in the Marines. All of us at 16.
How'd you do that?
Lucky. There was Santiago Guerri, Jesse Pena, and Willie Medina, and then the guy that was San Antonio that they hooked up with the 4th in Tulsa, Wayne Parks, me, Wayne Dittmer, and Charles Scott.
But how'd you get in the Marines at 16?
Lucky, I was big, weighed 200 pounds and looked like a 18-year-old. And
So did you tell them you were 18?
no,
Or did they-
yeah, we told us whatever the next age was. I think 17, but it could be 18.
Yeah.
Don't remember that.
Tell me about boot camp.
It's tougher than a boot. And I would like to say, being a squad leader, I didn't have any ease with anybody, but I felt like that I was helping. And I knew my left and my right, didn't do anything wrong, didn't smoke, chew, cuss, or go with the girls that do. and not kind of, but I just got along real well because I was in shape anyway. Football season, I'd run 20 laps around Boulder Park to make sure I was in shape, and went 60 minutes in the games, the whole game. Do you want to know what happened when I got out of the Marines? I was discharged September 25th, 1951. Because of shrapnel in the right eye, that I no longer met the requirements for the Marine Corps. So when they discharged me, I actually went to Bacone Junior College in Muskogee. I enrolled before he got discharged. I went back and got discharged, then come back, and we were undefeated junior college champions in 1952 and played in the Rose Bowl. And so then I went from Bacone to TU. My coach was Tuffy Stratton. He went then to Arkansas Tech. I withdrew from Tulsa and went with him. He withdrew from Arkansas Tech, went to Arkansas State. I said, I ain't leaving again, Coach. I stayed at Arkansas Tech and graduated #1 May 1956.
What type of training did you have in boot camp?
Tougher than a boot. Tough. Just put tough, and that's it. Running, exercising, obeying commands, learning how to handle your superiors with respect. And that's what it is, respect.
Tell me about your drill instructors.
Well, we had 3, and one was named Polchin, and he was a corporal or PFC, and later he got transferred and killed a guy accidentally, and went to the prison, our Marine prison. And he was big and tough, but he just got too tough. And the master sergeant, and so help me right now, I can't think of his name, but he was a good man. It just won't come to me right now. And as he Polchin, and the master sergeant was a good man. He knew, and a corporal that was a veteran of I think World War II, yeah. And I can't think of his name either right now. But the corporal was a good man, so was the master sergeant. Polchin, I remember because of that incident later. I hadn't thought of them in years, but I hate that I can't think of them because they were really good. They were tough but fair. Mm-hmm. And I mean that, they really were.
Did you go on bivouac in boot camp?
Well, we went to Camp Matthews for a week for rifle training. And I still had at that time a 2010 right eye, 2010, not 2020, and had a steady hand, and I fired expert in everything we handled up there. And that was sort of the bivouac at Camp Matthews. You ever hear of that? Okay. Some people haven't. It was north of Pendleton on the shoreline. Mm-hmm. I'm getting that cottonmouth, one of the best I'll take. Get our talk. But anyway, it was a fair, I never thought it was rough and rugged, and everybody knew it was. But I was in shape, and I have to admit, I enjoyed the boot camp. I really did. And I'm not saying that because it's over. It did. And like I say, I was in shape, and I just stayed in shape.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you go after boot camp?
To Camp Pendleton.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you do there?
Just training. Then that's when I went back to 25th Battalion.
Mm-hmm.
And in Tulsa, Lucky. And then that's when that unit was called into action when the war started around 1950. Yeah, right.
Now, were
yeah.
you in the reserves at this time?
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
Okay, you joined the Marine Reserves. Now, which unit did
No,
you?
I joined the regular Marines, but I got transferred to that, what do we call it, reserve unit.
Reserves.
The 20th Infantry Battalion. Yeah.
20th Infantry Battalion. Is that here in Tulsa?
It was here in Tulsa, right.
Okay.
I say here because it's almost.
Now, when were you called to active duty?
That was, let's see, that would be, let's see. I think August the 1st, 1950.
1950.
Yeah,
Okay.
August 1st.
Okay.
I thought it wasn't gonna come to me.
Okay. When you were called to active duty, where'd you go?
Camp Pendleton.
Camp Pendleton.
Then from there, you know where we went.
Korea.
Right.
How'd you get to Korea?
Boarded a ship called, let's see, that was either the Bayfield or the, start of the end. Another ship was start, let's see, the Bayfield or the, there was another ship. We was on two ships. Bayfield and they came to me right now.
Okay.
The second one. Now remember the ship later we come on, the General Edwin D. Patrick. And that, I think it was an admiral, the ship's captain, maybe the captain, but he was gonna stop in Hawaii. There was 42 of us wounded Marines. And we were gonna stop in Hawaii for the night. And boy, oh no, please, in all 42 rallied, please don't stop. That's one more night. He circumvented the Hawaii stop, landed in Frisco. And we all thanked him, jumped off the ship, kissed the deck, and now I wish we'd have stopped and got to see Hawaii for that night.
Yeah.
Late.
Whenever you boarded the ship heading out, you boarded the ship in where's? San Diego?
Yeah, right. That's it. And to go over, yeah, it's San Diego to go.
Okay.
And we landed in Frisco coming home.
Okay.
Yeah,
When
right.
you were on the ship heading out, what were you thinking?
Well, we knew we was going to get in battle. We knew it. And so we were looking forward to fighting. Nobody, I don't remember a scared person. All of us was ready to go and anxious to get the enemy. And I mean it.
How long did the trip take?
Let's see, a few days without remembering exactly.
Yeah. How'd you pass the time on the trip?
Let's see, what did we do? Exercise, ate, slept, and wished.
And wished.
Don't tell me what the wishes were.
What did they tell you in case the ship was sinking?
Did you say that?
What did they tell you to do in case the ship was sinking?
Well, they had life rafts and we wondered if we would all fit in them. We actually wondered that. And that was what we would do. And we actually wondered if the ship got sinking, what we do. And I almost saw that other ship, the Bayfield and sort of the end, but it didn't come to me.
Yeah. Now, where'd the ship land?
And, ooh, I can remember that too.
You land
Down south,
in Korea?
no, Japan.
Japan.
Yeah, then we went in that other ship and landed on September 15th, 1950 at Incheon.
How long were you in Japan?
It would be a few days, it wasn't that, gosh, I can't even remember that long because we just, all the time, ready to go into Korea.
Okay.
I was in Baker 111 as we talked. You know what 111 is?
What's that?
Baker Company. First Regiment. That was, no, let's see. Bill, first time. 1st Battalion, 1st Regiment, 1st Division. I said fast. 1st Battalion, 1st Regiment, 1st Division, Marine Corps.
Okay.
Baker Company, all those three. B111.
Okay. So tell me about getting off the ship at Incheon. What'd you do?
We landed, okay, we under fire. That was, we was in battle when we landed. And we had a fellow with us that joined from San Antonio. There's 4 from there, 4 from Tulsa. We become buddies. One of them was Jesse T. Pena. He went back through boot camp so he would know all the Marine items that you needed to know. He was I think, a Navy Cross winner, World War II, driving one of those boats that landed the Marines and killed several Japs, and I think won a Navy Cross. He got killed again, and I think he won another one in Korea because he wouldn't take easy duty. He wanted to stay with them. That was Pena, Samuel Garrett, Willie Medina, and William S. Nicholas III. So, I hated to lose Jesse, and Charlie Scott, who he had defended in Tijuana on a leave when it was all there. We knew he was brave, for sure, and Charlie and I were good friends in Tulsa growing up. In a team together, played, and Charles Scott. Well, anyway, okay, that was that. Filled it all in. And there goes a group. That might have been the ones that wanted me to be with them. I don't know. Anyway.
What'd you do in Incheon?
We weren't, well, that was the battle. We landed and kept going through John Boo, and then the capital, Seoul, and then north when the Chinese communists coming in. And I was wounded 3 times en route. Shrapnel, shot, and shrapnels.
Now, I'd like to ask, how did you get off the ship onto the beach at Incheon? In a landing craft?
Oh, no, that's landing craft.
Landing craft.
Yes, and Jesse, I thought of him when we landed, that he had driven one in World War II. He wasn't quite that old either, and he was, what a good guy. Jesse T, and T stood for tall, T-A-L-L.
What was his last name?
P-E-N-A.
P-E-N-A. You say, was he killed?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He got killed in Korea, and we heard about it. And Charles Scott got killed because he was a battalion mail clerk, and those gooks thought he was really something important and snuck through and got him. And they, in turn, got for sure, too. And, of course, I've got a letter, a copy, that my gunner named Philip York wrote that I saved his life and some other action. And I got a copy of that letter he wrote, and one of the men at Post 1 in Tulsa, named Gordon Harmon, G-O-R-D on that, yeah, was going to write the president and send that letter because I never got a medal. And he said, how come you did? I said, don't ask me, I just did my job. And he said, man, that letter rated some kind of a medal, and I'm recommending you for a Congressional Medal of Honor. And so wrote the president 2 years ago. He said, never have heard of the thing. I said, if I get it, I'm going to jump up and down and say, yeah, look here.
How long were you at Incheon?
It was just, I mean, the landing, and just, we went straight through to, what is that, another little old town.
Ushanbu?
There was another one besides this, see. And I'd have to look at the map now and see the name. That's where Albert Collins got killed. We had a dike. We were firing across that dike there just before we got to the, oh shoot, I can't think of the name, at that dike, and the enemy was firing at us, and Albert was in the 6th squad, I was the 5th squad leader, and he went across, got shot, and a guy named Carl Zog said, "Oh," he said, "Where you hit, Albert?" He said, "I don't know, but it hurts." And it had gone through his back and hand, and he went ahead and set that machine gun up and fired on the enemy. And he won a Navy, we put him in for a Silver Star, and he won a Navy Cross for that. And then my first ammo man was named Jack Trader, and he said, "Whew," we were firing, he was right next to me. He said, "Whew, they're getting close." And as he said that last close, he dropped. And one of the guys raised his head, and there was 3 right there sticking out. They hollered, "Corpsman." I said, "They don't need a corpsman." That's it. Pulled him on down, and we then got the rest of them and got him. And we won the battle, and there was a lot of dead as we went marching on towards Sewell, and then captured it. And at the, well, I better not tell that.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, at the train station, they had 50 prisoners, and they had no way to get those 50 prisoners back. We were attacking, so they met a fate that a lot of people meet. They can't be taken prisoner. And they kind of made, as a matter of, well, don't print this, but let's see, our company commander was, right now, he comes to me again, it will. But he said, called me up there with my machine gun, and he said, "We need to get rid of them." I said, "If you order me to, I will, otherwise I can't." Okay, they got 3 BA Army, including a fellow named Pitts from San Antonio, and as we left going down, we hear what a sound. That was the end of them. I said, that we should be, that we had nothing to do but get rid of them. And that our company commander started, let's see, hell, right now he ain't coming. And I had to tell you one thing, I missed 2 commissions. They were sending me to OCS, it's called Platoon Leaders Class in the Marines. When the war started, that ended me going. I was put in for a field commission by that captain. It came through, they said, but I was in the hospital then in Yokosuka, Japan. You don't get it if you're not on the line, so I missed being a 2nd lieutenant. And I was just a corporal at that time, and so I went to 3 hospitals: Yokosuka Naval Hospital, Oak Knoll Naval Hospital, Corpus Christi Naval Hospital, and then from Corpus Christi, I went to duty as the brig warden at the Naval Air Station. And
Where?
in Corpus Christi.
Corpus Christi. Okay.
And I was just a corporal. Oh, and so when I showed up to be the brig warden, within that day or 2, it was outside of it, and there came at that time he'd been promoted, I think, lieutenant, but maybe captain, and he says, "What happened?" I had my 2 stripes. I said, "Nothing." He said, "Oh, hell." He said, "I was there when your sergeant ready came through." He said, "Be in my office in 5 minutes and I'll be corrected." 5 minutes later, I was no longer Corporal Woodward, I was Sergeant Woodward. And I said, thank goodness, I'd have been discharged a corporal if he hadn't been there. And I still haven't told that our company commander's name. It'll come to me. But
what did you do at Seoul?
What
did you do at Seoul, Korea?
You know, we took it, it was quite a bit of action on the streets. I can remember we went down from that train station, top that hill, and then fought through the streets, which wasn't too long. It was kind of like a small city instead of a large city, the capital. And we may have been like on an outskirt in Tulsa and just didn't see the real Seoul. But I'm sure several units were fighting it, and the only one I knew about was us. And we did our job, and then went north to Kotari.
Where?
Koto, K-O-T-O-R-I. And in fact, I think that's where I was sent for the last time to Yokosuka, but I'd been shrapneled and I got shot in the knee. And nurse here asked, said, did you have an artificial knee? I said, no, that was from a rifle shot. She said, oh, okay. So I kept going from that and got 2 Purple Hearts and would have got 3, but I didn't turn in. And they said, why didn't you? I said, well, I didn't care whether I got 1 or 10. It made no difference to me. It was just 2. And I didn't wear my hat. I forgot that was given to me by the commander of the military Order of the Purple Heart 1 month after I come in here. And it is, I've worn a hat every day.
Yeah.
It's hanging there, but I just didn't put it on. I guess because I shaved.
Now, did you fight the Koreans as you were heading north, the North Koreans?
Yes, we sure did.
What did you do?
I was that machine gunner, but I had demoted everyone in the squad so I would be the gunner, and they all agreed to that. Phil would then become the assistant. Hambo man gave me 2 more cans. Jack Trader then later got killed, and I never knew what grave he was in till some friends found out, and we drove to Fort Gibson and found his grave. And then they contacted his daughter, daughter, and she gave her my name, and she was going to call me, but never did for some reason. And I was not going to tell her about that, how he dropped. I was not going to say that to her, but she never called.
Was he was shot?
Yeah, he was shot 3. That 3 got him right there. It must have been a machine gun.
Yeah.
And they was firing at them too. And we got a lot of them. And
how were you moving north? How did you move north?
fighting, foot.
Foot.
We traveled a little bit. I can remember being on a Jeep for certain areas, but only once. I can remember being on a Jeep and jumping off that thing and seeing Jeeps, before that seeing Jeeps go by, was wounded, and then we left the Jeep back on the ground fighting again. It wasn't very long on the Jeep travel, it was foot travel, and all machine gun. And that one letter that Phil wrote kind of tells more than I can remember now, because it was back then.
Yeah. What machine gun did you have?
30 caliber, air cooled light.
Is that the M60?
No, 30 caliber.
30 caliber, 30 caliber.
Air cooled.
Air cooled.
And the tripod was broke. And in one of those sessions when they was attacking us, the tripod was broke, so I used it in my hand and got a few of them like that. Mm-hmm. And Phil spells it out. I hadn't looked at that. I've actually got a copy down through the years. Mm-hmm. They sent me a copy of it, and the Marine Corps, the commandant said there needed to be an officer present, and the main of it, there wasn't no officer over there where on that outpost, and the officer was there, and I still hadn't thought that company commander's name, dadgummit, Captain, started with an F, I think. Ain't coming to me.
How were you resupplied?
I can't tell you. Don't know. I actually had wondered about that myself, how we got ammo in, because we had plenty, as it turned out, most of the way. Yeah. And I can't remember how we got it. Mm-hmm. Had to be men carrying it to us, and I had a 45 with a holster here, and I went through to get some water. We run out, and I went through the tanker to fill up a 5-gallon can, and that tanker said, well, I sure like your holster. I said, well, I like yours. Shoulder. We traded. He said, let's trade. So with that 5-gallon can of water, I got that shoulder holster, and I said, ooh, oh, and okay, anyway, so I was happy with that the rest of the time. And I'm not going to tell the rest of the story about the shoulder holster, but it's sure 2 different guys nearly met their fate because they was going to try to get it. We were taking a shower on a bath on the Han River, and I washed my face with whatever, I don't remember, soap, and as it turned out, my 45 with a shoulder holster was missing off my pack. And there was the Army, 2 guys down there. They were the 1st Army Bath and Shower Platoon. I said, Phil, put a rifle on them. I said, one of you dirty boobies stole 45. If it's not there, I'm gonna turn around and count to 3. If it's not back, we're gonna shoot both of you. I turned around and I said, 1, 2, 3. I turned around, it was back on the pack. They said, Bill, so when you didn't kill him anyway. I cussed them. I said, I called them everything you can think of. I said, you lousy, I called them everything. And no, I just wonder I didn't kill him. I was mad. Then when I went to ship, when I went out on the ship, the one that I ended up on the Yokosuka Naval Hospital, that guy that checked in, had checked in. I said, you didn't give me my 45. He said, well, how did I know you were going back to action? I said, mister, you don't know anything, Navy guy. I said, if you don't get that up there to me, you won't ever have to worry about another. You understand me? And so he went and got it. I guess he understood because he went and got it. And he was kind of red and shaky, but that was twice that they nearly took my 45 away.
How far north did you get in Korea?
We got, I'm trying to think, of course to me at that time, I had no idea of where we were. It's, I'm sure 50 miles roughly from Seoul to the border where they came in on us. And that's when we really started retreating, but fighting. I think one of the colonels or general said, he said, we're in a retreat. And he said, retreat hell, we're just fighting in a different direction. And I can't remember which one said that.
Was that the Chosin Reservoir?
That was at it. That was just after we was coming back down.
Okay. Tell me what happened when you woke up to realize the Chinese were there. What happened?
We battled and thinking there is our staunch ally, World War II, and here we're fighting a staunch enemy in Korea. We couldn't believe it. And you know, we kind of knew because General MacArthur thought about bombing, that they were stacked behind it, getting ready to come in across. And President Truman overruled the bombing, and then he fired MacArthur over getting that far. He wasn't supposed to have gone that far even. But MacArthur, you remember him, what he said, I just wanted the old soldiers never die, they just fade away. But he said, all I want to do is win and the battle and not drop back or anything. And I often thought he knew what he was doing. He'd been in too many fights and won a Medal of Honor himself and his dad. So we knew he was right, we thought, not Truman.
So tell me what happened at the Chosin Reservoir. What did you do?
If we'd got there, I don't know. If we'd got on up there, I don't know.
But what did you do at the Chosin Reservoir?
Well, we never got there.
Oh, you didn't?
Oh, no, we just fought up to that.
Okay.
And then fought back down.
So what did you do?
Well, I was that machine gun squad leader and fired my machine gun several times. And I'll have to look at that letter to see if it tells anything about this fight.
You were outnumbered?
Oh, golly, 20-1 was the official statistics. But so help me, Joe, I believe we got them without me knowing all the counts or anything. I'm just one guy. I think we got them about 20-1 from what I remember of how many we mowed down and shot and didn't take many prisoners. Wasn't any way to take them.
What did you think when you saw the Chinese coming?
Well, it was just we had heard that, rumored that they was going to come in, and that talk about bombing them, and we thought, well, those son of a guns from changing from a friend to an enemy.
Yeah.
And that's what we thought. I still think it to this day. And they said, well, you know why? You probably remember because you're a historian type, was because of Mao Zedong. Was a communist leader, took over and changed the, what would you call it, the outlay of the thinking, and we couldn't, like I say, we couldn't believe it.
When the Chinese attacked, what did you hear?
Just yelling, and Bottom County one, and there was a whole bunch, and I tell you, I can remember, I was thrilled. I was mowing them down like cotton blowing, and I am not bragging, but I mowed many a goot down Chinese. Quite a few North Koreans getting there, but many a Chinese soldier. And I remember, I said, didn't have time to get a souvenir off of them. Just went on by in a uniform, and they looked Chinese. You could tell that they didn't look nothing but China. And then later, people began to like China again, friends again.
So did they attack you from all sides or just one side?
It was frontal, all frontal, huh?
Well, did they have horns and whistles or anything?
Yeah. Never forgot that. They had that. They whistled, horned. I barely remember that, but I can remember that happening for sure. I don't almost forgot that part, but they, sure enough, and I still hadn't told them the company commander's name.
Yeah.
Let's see, Captain Ford. Yeah. Gosh.
Who was in charge of the group at the reservoir?
Of the what?
Who was in charge of the group fighting out?
Well, the only one I knew was my company commander.
Okay.
Oh, and we saw at that time Colonel Lewis Burwell Chesty Puller. And he
What was his name?
Chesty Puller.
Puller?
His name was Lewis Burwell Chesty in parentheses Puller. He was a colonel at the time, and he had told Marines, and I'd heard him say that because the Marines told me they weren't a friend. He told me that he said, if you ever want me, look out about 10 yards or something like that in front of the lines. Well, I thought, that sounds like he's doing his job or crazy or something. Okay, we were attacking into Sewell, and all of a sudden, Phil and I was on the fire, and they weren't far away. It's about like that row of cars out there. And all of a sudden, here went a Jeep about 10 feet from us. We was on the edge with that, I think it was a corporal driver, and that was a bouncing, and there he was. We said, good Gordon Seed, that's true. He is 10 feet out in front of the lines. And then they went on, and he was hollering and waving. They went on around, and we then went off to the left. See, that was well before we got to Sewell, because we had a company. What do you call the guy that's the long distance shooter?
Sniper?
Yeah. His head was a gunnery sergeant, and he was firing down at that town, at some village, the edge of it, and quite a ways. It was from here to that tree line well over there. And he said, you know how you tell if that's a civilian or an army or soldier? I said, no. He said, if they come over to get him, they was a civilian. If they leave him, only a soldier. I went, oh no, I hate to hear something like that, because I was not one to kill a guy at my feet. And I can't think of his name either right now. Still ain't the commander. But anyway, we whipped them, and that was what counted. We outgunned them, we outfought them, we out everythinged them, and even outnumbered 20 to 1. We actually, the Marines got them, and there was a guy named in Tulsa. I'm sure he's dead now. He's way all over me. Was in the Army, and we brought some of them, saved them, and so he called himself an honorary Marine and returned to our Marine Corps League meetings. And his name was James Beast, Jim something. Some of those league guys will know him. It's going to be here tonight at 6.
Yeah.
And James B. But he called himself an honorary Marine. He said if it wasn't the Marines, I wouldn't be here. And so I said, well, yeah, maybe that's partly true of each of all of us. If it wouldn't be for our buddies, we would be here. And like Philip said, he said, well, I could dispose of that guy close quarters. And Phil said, Bill, you can have anything to eat or drink as long as you live. And another guy said that to me later. And sure enough, and that was the owner of Quick Trip, because I saved people getting killed at 31st and Sheridan, right by the freeway up above. And that Cadgel said, Bill, you can have anything to eat or drink as long as you live. And I said, well, thank you. I never ate that much, but I drank a cup of hot chocolate, that cappuccino, fat-free French vanilla, came to me every day around the stores. And they all knew me. But Mr. York wouldn't let me buy a beer. And I said, Mr. York, I said, I'd save my own hide too. He said, I don't care, you ain't buying no beer. My son said if it wasn't for you, he wouldn't be alive. He was named Theodore Roosevelt York, and then Phil was Philip Murray York, my gunner, tall guy, married and had 12 children, lived out in Wagner.
How far did you fight to get out?
I was wounded on the way back down, and it took me out on a Jeep.
Okay.
Down the halfway back down to the lines and out to that hospital ship. And you talk about good treatment there, and then that was Yokosuka Naval Hospital, and then one right across the dadgum bay there. And then it took me back on the General Edwin D. Patrick, and that's the best food I ever got in the Marines. I couldn't believe it. That ship's captain had the best food going, and I remember that.
Yeah.
like, I hope I've told you everything I know.
Yeah. So you were at so you were the brig guard at
I was the brig warden at Corpus Christi.
Corpus Christi.
Uh-huh.
Now, when did you get your discharge?
I sat there on the 25th, 1951, right there.
Yep.
Yeah, and I didn't want to get out. But my right eye from that shrapnel reduced it from 2010 to 14,480, and that no longer met the requirement. I said, well, gosh dang it. I said, all I've done, and treat me like you appreciate me, and then I can't stay in.
Now, when did you get shrapnel in your eye? Where did that happen?
That was up in hand grenade up north, and I was going down and thought I could get a. When I saw that come out, I started from the deck. It's cold, and oh no! And so I took a stick and wrapped my finger, and in that eye, I just dealt with it till they finally started treating it, but they never could do anything for it, and nothing ever that they could do for that.
Was that when you were fighting your way back?
You're right. The Chinese got me.
Yeah.
And like I said, got shrapneled, and then earlier than that rifle shot and then hand grenaded, and then that finished me. About that hospital ship I went, and those nurses treated me, you talk about like a hero. Whew. I said they were beautiful too. Oh, mercy.
What did you do after you got your discharge?
Okay, I was already enrolled at Bacon, so I'd come back, went back, got my discharge, went there, enrolled. I was already enrolled, and we played football. And I was trying to think of a guy that everybody might know. Let's see. Okay, Babe Chandler, that kicked for the New York Giants and Green Bay Packers, was an end for us at Bacon, and his name was Don Chandler. We called him Babe. Everybody called him Babe Chandler. And he was a good kicker, extra points. I think he punted too. But we had a good team, undefeated, went to Rose Bowl, got tied by you ever hear of Hartnell College from Salinas, California? I had never heard of them either. And the referee made a bad call. I mean a bad one, that let them score in the end, and so they tied us 20-20. And we got beat, but we had a big left tackle, I'll tell this, named Fred Jones. He was full-blood Seminole from Seminole, Oklahoma. And here we went, but we was off the field thinking we'd won when he'd called that play, and we had won by a touchdown. Went back out on the field, just out of sorts, and that the same play that they called that bad call on, they scored on. And if they'd kicked the extra point, they'd have beat us 21-20. And Fred come over me. I did not come out of the game. Was the only one on either team to not come out of that Rose Bowl game. And Fred said, Bill, the game was actually over. He said, if you'll jerk that guard out and get him, I'll block that extra point. I thought, okay. And I anticipate that count, Joe, and I used everything in me to grab and jerk right on that nose. Fred shot through, hit right there. There went the ball. Game saved, 2020. And the mayor come over and said, oh, and a lot of people saw that film later. My son said, Dad, how could they have called that way? I said, we wondered this to this day. And I was kneeling down one time, the play was way around, already over, I was kneeling, and my son said, Dad, I see you, what did he call it, taking it easy. I said, well, that was the only time the play was around the other side. But he called me kneeling down, but I was the only one to come out of that game, and luckily made All-American junior college guard.
So where'd you go to work?
Okay, I got out of the college and I went to work for Western Auto. I was assistant manager at Oak Cliff, number whatever that was, up in Oak Cliff, Dallas. Then I went to Fort Worth as manager, number 1. My wife said, I cannot stand Fort Worth. So we moved, and a woman that took care of a little girl who was already born said, oh, we'll miss Mona. She said, we'll miss her. And we came back, and then I joined the sheriff's department in Sinclair on the side. So I had 2 jobs making actually double money by being what they call whatever they call the head of the security for Sinclair under H.B. Smith was Sinclair. So I had that double money, and my mom was in the Tulsa Christian Care Center, and if I hadn't had that good money, Joe, I couldn't have paid $1,100 a month to keep her in there. And she said, Bill, you don't have to come see me every day. I said, Mom, I don't have to, I want to.
Yeah.
And I meant it. And she passed away at 90 years old, and we hated it, and everybody else loved her. I'll see those kids, they'd say, your mother's the sweetest woman we ever saw. And I said, well, thank you. And I said, they knew me's coming every day. Well, anyway, Joe, it's nice to meet you. And your last name, Todd?
Yes. Would you join the Marines again?
Well, at this at this age and shape, listen, I want to tell you, used to say, no ex-Marines, former Marines. Now, once a Marine, always a Marine.
I'd like to do a word association. I'll give you some words and you give me your reaction. The first one is boot camp.
I can remember how tough that was. Got us ready.
USS Mayfield.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, Mayfield.
Mayfield.
I thought you said, excuse me, I thought you said Mayfield because I know a Mayfield.
Yeah.
And I think of that ship
Yes.
going. Yes, sir.
Korea.
Well, I think we needed to be there. World War II, we had to be. I think in Korea we needed to be. Vietnam, probably not.
Incheon.
What a landing. We got them, we landed, we hollered, we mowed them. I remember us lying on the beach with a buku and keeping going and knowing we was whipping them already.
Chosen Reservoir.
The chosen few.
Chosen few. Douglas MacArthur.
One of the finest military men that there ever was.
Harry Truman. Harry Truman.
I
Harry Truman.
Okay. I had doubts about him because I didn't like the firing of MacArthur. He was the president. We disagreed on a lot of counts.
Yep. How do you want to be remembered?
Just as one of the guys, one of the people, they call me this and call me that. I said, I just one of the guys.
Yep.
And I do my job the best I could.
Sir, this is an excellent interview.
Well, Joe, thank you.
I want to thank you for your service and thank you for the interview.
Okay, you're welcome. You brought back a lot of things that I couldn't think of until I got to hear it, and I still hadn't thought that our company commander's name, and I know him. He came in and took the place of another guy that was not that good. I don't remember his name at all. And one of those actions was that machine gun. I had got about 20 running across a field over to where that other captain was, and so he knew what happened. And there, I don't think it was ever mentioned. That was it. And I don't remember his name, so I can't say. And I still can't remember F4. Hey, when it comes to me, I'll holler at you.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for the patience, and I'll get back up there, get my hair combed a little bit.
Yes.
And what time is it, Joe?
It is a little before 3 o'clock.
Okay, not as late as I thought, thank goodness.
Okay.
And I said, we had Marines that I was proud of. Jesse Pena, this is between us, was one of the best men. I could almost tell you a story about down in Tijuana. Charlie Scott that got killed, Korea, we were together down there, and we missed Charlie. It been quite a while. Went to the restroom, and there he was up on the back of a toilet stool with one of the most beautiful Mexican girls that I ever saw. There was a Mexican actress a few years ago, and she was prettier than her even. And I said, Jesse, Charlie's in there. He went in there, and that Mexican had a knife on Charlie. He said in Mexican, you let that down, or I'm going to cut your throat and stuff you down that stool. And the old boy dropped that knife. He says, now get up. And the guy said, tell him to stay away from my girl. Okay, that be as it may. As we were leaving, we saw that beauty handing Charlie, as he told us, her name, address, and phone. So he wasn't through with her. And we got transferred, he did, from Camp Finland to another unit, I think, so I never got to ask him how that transpired. He and that beauty, and she was a beauty. I am not kidding you. I think of her, I just see her in that Bill and her pretty. Well, anyway, and Charlie got killed as the battalion mail clerk, and just around September the 21st. That's the first time I voted.
Yeah.
In October, okay. And people said,